don't have any more time.
Something is coming.
No protectors here. Kryptonian. This world will fall. Like all the others. This is crazy. Honestly, I think we're all gonna die. Protectors here. No lanterns. No Kryptonian. This world will fall. Like all the others.
I'm Lacey from Just One More Fix, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual host. Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
Hey friends, Jordan Woods Robinson here from AMC's The Walking Dead and Blue Man Group, and this is PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture. We're a geek podcast for geek culture, so are you ready to get your geek on? Sit back, relax, grab some gluten-free, non-GMO popcorn, and let's dive into the world pop culture bliss.
You are listening to PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture.
Captain's log supplemental.
PopXcast.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Alrighty, and welcome everyone. This is PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture. I'm your host, Joe Burke. What's up, Team PopX? How are y'all doing tonight?
What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing? What's new in your all's worlds today?
Oh, well,
Your multiverses. How's your multiverses doing?
I took some family pictures today. It was
Nice,
very
sweet.
cute. Stay all festive.
Still got my
Oh, ready for the holidays,
yes.
Lindsay?
Enjoying
Ready
the
to bring
food.
on that Christmas goodness.
Bring on that
Oh, yeah.
sweet Christmas goodness.
Sweet Christmas.
Well, as you can tell, we've had a little bit of there's some kind of glowing, a glowing tree monolith that has
Oh,
formed.
there's a little growth there on your
There's
shoulder.
Yeah, that's.
You can get that checked out, Joe.
It's a little.
Not good.
Oh my God, you guys are so ridiculous. All right, so yeah, there's a glowing horn of plenty here that is
Glowing horn.
glowing horn of plenty. No, we can keep the puns going all day, ladies and gentlemen, but it's truly awesome. Austin, it's really good to have you back this week, man. We missed you last week, so we just
did.
want you to know.
I missed. Listen, I love Thor, and I wanted to just sit here and just spoil it, and I didn't get to.
You know what?
But
You
I
know
gave
what,
it. I
Austin?
gave it a 9 out of 10, just
Wait,
in case
wait.
anybody was wondering.
I'm going to do you justice. I'm going to do you justice. Give us your Thor rundown in 60 seconds.
Oh.
Ready,
Oh,
go.
60 seconds. Okay, so Thor was a very fun and entertaining movie. It knew what it was. It was a great example of when you give a director, a Marvel director, full reins to do what he does best, but also fit into the MCU. I loved Thor. I loved Hulk. I loved Korg. I thought he was amazing. You put org on the end of something, whether it's porg or Korg, it's great. I thought Hello was a decent villain. I had some issues with some of the CGI and some problems towards the end, but overall, I think it was a great movie and a great example of when you can do a sequel justice.
30 seconds. You
Yes.
still got 30 seconds, Austin.
Oh, I got 30 seconds. Okay. So I really enjoyed the relationship between Thor and Loki, and I thought the thing at the end, I ain't gonna spoil it, but the thing at the end that happens to him, and then he comes down and got the lightning. I thought that was awesome. And the action scenes, we've never seen action scenes like that in a Thor movie before. And I thought when the movie started, I'm like, okay, they're going to use this song continuously throughout the movie, but it worked. It worked, and it was absolutely amazing. And I do think it was one of the greatest post-credit scene. I know it was really short, but I'm just gonna Thanos.
Look at that.
Very good.
Very
I'm
good,
also
Austin.
a Korg fan. I am a huge
Oh, he's
fan of
great.
Korg.
He's so great. Oh my, that movie, guys, just
Singing his praises all week
I
long.
hated. Listen, missing last week was horrible. So I can't wait to talk about this movie this week. That's all.
Well, we're happy to have you here this week, man, and welcome back. I knew in the back of my mind I wanted to be able to serve you some justice. Do you see what I did there? Did you see what I did?
Yes,
there?
I
Oh my
saw
God.
it.
Yes. Oh my God. Anyway, moving on. So let's go ahead and open this thing up, shall we? Hey guys, welcome to PopX, where science fiction meets pop culture. I'm your host, Joseph Burke, Central Florida's seasoned comic book nerd and retro enthusiast. We'd like to welcome everyone joining us live in the PopX.live chat room. Come on over and hang out with us and join the conversation at PopXcast.com.
And I am Austin Burke, the Appalachian Geek at heart. If you guys missed episode 65, Thor Ragnarok review, like I did, check our official website at PopXcast.com for this and other great past shows from PopX.
That's right. He can go back and watch the, replay though, so he won't miss it. I'm Lindsay Badger, your favorite Geeky Okie. Make sure that you head over to Google Play or iTunes after the show tonight and click that subscribe button. Catch up on some of the amazing shows from our PopX archive, and while you're there, please give us all the love with a 5-star rating and review. Please, please, please.
Yes, I couldn't have said it better.
Please.
It's just so cool, guys. We got the whole family here. The whole PopX family's here. It's
It's
Thanksgiving.
like Thanksgiving.
Perfect.
This is so great. This is good. This is good. I'm getting all the feels right now. Well, guys, while we're having all the feels, sit right tight. We'll be right back. This is PopX News coming to you live. Don't go nowhere.
Extra, read all about it. This is PopX News, coming to you live, right here on PopXcast.com.
That's it. That's the PopXcast.com. It's right here on PopXcast.com. PopXcast.com. Download that PopXcast. No, sorry. I'm just...
All right. All right. We are not a used car sales show.
No, come on down to Toyota. No, anyway.
No.
So, no, let's not say we did. So, following right on the heels of last week's news, we have this week, and it's some more pretty interesting news coming out from Deadpool 2. Following the release of the first teaser trailer for 20th Century Fox has now officially released a synopsis for Deadpool 2. OMG. Can we get a "was up" with that hair, that Bob Ross Deadpool hair? Was up.
What's up? That was so
Gosh, that was
so good.
Okay, I squirmed a little bit in my chair because I was like, "Oh man, this is so cool." He's paying homage to Bob Ross, and then he starts just like smacking.
Can I
his
just say
brush
that how many times did you guys watch this video in a row?
at least 4.
So many.
At least 4. At
So
least
many.
4.
I'm gonna have to say it was a good even 10 as a minimum, and I can't count past that because it was so funny.
You know, the first time I watched it, I was actually shocked. I was like, "What did I just watch?"
Yeah,
Then I had to go back again. I'm like, "Okay."
And then
I
you
get
watch it and you get more stuff out of it, and the more jokes and the names. Come on, it's just.
It is definitely a rewatch. You can't just watch it one time and move
Keep
on.
your pants high and your dreams wet. This is Deadpool coming. All right. All right, so after surviving a near-fatal bovine attack, a disfigured cafeteria chef, Wade Wilson, struggles... I did say that, right? Cafeteria chef.
Yep.
Wade Wilson struggles to fulfill his dream to become Mayberry's hottest bartender. I can't even read this.
What is this that you're reading?
Mayberry's hottest bartender while also learning... I've never read this.
This is the first time I've ever seen
I'm reading this for the first... Okay, Mayberry's hottest
Keep
bartender.
it together, will ya?
I've tried, daggone it. Also learning to cope with his lost sense of taste. Now, searching to regain his spice for life as a well-flux...
He go.
As a well-flux capacitor, Wade must battle ninjas as Yakuza and a pack of sexually aggressive...
We may have to just post this up on the blog for people to read.
Oh my God, this is so funny. Anyway, and a pack of sexually aggressive canines as he journeys around the world to discover the importance of family, friendship, and I'm trying to get through this. Flavor. Finding a new taste for... Shut up, Austin. Finding a new taste for adventure and earning the coveted coffee mug title of the world's best lover. Creator Rob Liefeld said this could not be more exciting for the fans as well as for the great talent bringing Deadpool 2 to life. Deadpool, Cable, Domino, Colossus, fans, brace yourself. You have no idea what awesome journey that's coming your way. The best news is that June 1st is closer today than it was yesterday. Booyah.
So what did you just read?
You know, my God, that was... I've never read the synopsis yet for Deadpool 2, and that reaction, we have to use, that's going in the blooper reel for PopX. That was...
Oh my gosh.
I'm done. Austin, get me out of here.
Oh, that was fantastic. I've never read that either. Oh my gosh. Oh,
Everyone take a breath.
That was so good.
That was amazing. That was amazing. Okay, I'm sorry. That's like something I would tweet out. Okay, so Nintendo is closing in on a massive deal with Universal to bring Super Mario to the big screen. Sorry. Illumination Entertainment has been tasked with creating an animated Super Mario Brothers based on Nintendo's most recognizable and most celebrated mascot. Multiple studios have been courting Nintendo ever since the company expressed open interest in bringing its most popular intellectual properties to the silver screen. As Nintendo expands its ever-growing hardware and software library, Nintendo is also making a push into mobile gaming, movies, and an upcoming theme park. Forgot about that. Which will be at various Universal Studios theme park locations around the world. What do you guys think about a reattempt in animated form of Super Mario Bros?
As long as it's the guy that does Mario, as long as it's the animation that we see, you know, I'm okay with that. As long as it's not something from the 90s that just smells horrible.
You have to enjoy the retro goodness of the horrible.
Honey, I can't enjoy that. That's just...
It was pretty bad.
I mean, that movie demolished what I thought a Koopa Trooper looked like.
Well, and they tried to bring animation into the real world and failed. That happens a lot. So if they keep it in animation world, I think it'll be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you say so. Oh, okay. Lindsay Badger.
I was about to look for Joker because you guys had some laughing gas or something going on. I don't know what was going on.
Well, no, it's that daggone description by Deadpool
I know,
that Mike threw in the notes and didn't even give me a warning about it.
That rascal.
Anyway.
Rascal. All right. We're going to dive into the Avengers Infinity War. The teaser has long been expected to make its theatrical debut attached to Star Wars. But if the new report proves correct, fans won't have to wait for The Last Jedi to get a taste of Marvel Studios' upcoming superhero epic. Jeremy Conrad, formerly of IGN and Furious Fanboys, is reporting the anxiously awaited Avengers Infinity War trailer will hit the internet early December. Looks like early December Infinity War trailer date is confirmed, Conrad wrote on Twitter Thursday, adding the online debut of the trailer will precede the release of Star Wars The Last Jedi, but will accompany the Disney Lucasfilms blockbuster in theaters. According to Conrad, by the way of an unnamed source, the trailer will be online around December 4th. So that's a little bit of hearsay, but I bet you it's pretty on point.
I'd say it's probably within 24 hours of that date, give or take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So
yeah, Austin, you look like you're about ready to explode.
He's gonna die.
Either he had too much Chipotle, or he's just
I don't
really
know.
excited.
Is he gonna implode or explode?
I don't know.
All right, we're good, guys.
I don't know. All right, but you know what the truth is? I would pay to watch either one of them. Anyway.
Yes. Yes, you should. You should.
To implode or explode. Yes.
I exploded.
Yes.
Can they happen simultaneously? And I think that's just
his head may explode. Lindsay, it's like this. What happens when you remove the lid of a pressure cooker too quick? Think about it. All right. So moving on from Lucasfilm and Walt Disney Pictures, Flashpoint has been a work in progress for Warner Brothers for a while now, and so DC Films is busy with Justice League right now, but the Flash's solo film isn't too far off its mind. Now, during a chat with Ezra Miller, he opened up about how Flashpoint will affect the DC cinematic universe, and the actor told fans to expect some big things. Miller said at the San Diego Comic-Con that this as a standalone would do crazy things to the DCEU. Now, what fans understand when they hear Flashpoint, Miller teased, would be almost like hearing a word like crisis. Now, we start to understand that our precious DC universe will inevitably be torn to an endless, headache-inducing fabric multiversity, the DC hyper-extended universe, as I plan to call it. Quote me. That's what he said. So, that's probably going to be a good thing, honestly. It's going to give Warner Brothers a good alibi to switch the characters up, switch the actors that play the characters, and, you know what I'm saying? So I can definitely see that being a good move on their end.
Yeah, Flashpoint is a great storyline as well, and we get to see, the battle of the Amazons and the Atlanteans, and then, who knows, they might bring in, what's his name, Negan, to play Thomas Wayne, and he could be Batman. How cool would that be if we see Jeffrey D. Morgan play Batman? I think Flashpoint is exciting. I just hope they don't, reboot the universe because Justice League underperformed at the box office.
I'm happy for a change up in the lineup.
Yeah. Lindsay's not excited for the future. But speaking of Justice League, it's finally hit theaters, but the film that fans are seeing isn't exactly the version that director Zack Snyder went into production with. Joss Whedon took over the directorial duties heading into the film's reshoots, and it was evident that he changed a substantial amount of the movie. Even though most fans have been enjoying a film that was released, quite a few are still hoping to see the original, much longer cut that Snyder had in mind. In the description of the petition, the studio was originally happy with Snyder's film, but he wanted to do something more, so he brought in Whedon to help with some scenes. The write-up also states that Warner Brothers wasn't truthful in saying that Snyder's vision would be brought onto the big screen, especially after replacing composer Junkie XL with Danny Elfman. Now, personally, I loved the score in Justice League. That was no problem whatsoever, but I do think that it would be interesting to see what Zack Snyder's longer cut would be, because I think another problem with the movie, it was way too short, not enough meat, not enough details, but we'll get into that later. So what do you guys think about replacing Zack Snyder with Joss Whedon and changing the cut of the movie?
Now, let me back up. Didn't he have a family tragedy and he had to bail out of?
He did.
It was his daughter, correct? Wasn't it his daughter committed suicide or something like that? So I say
it was a family member that he lost. Yeah.
Okay, his family member. I'm sorry. I don't mean any disrespect to the Snyder family. I was just trying to get the story straight. But
I believe you're correct. It was his daughter, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, being under the pressure, I know he's under contract, but I think Warner Brothers gave him honestly, a little bit of headway, being that it's such a sensitive case. And there's probably, here's what's going to happen with this. There's going to be two different versions of the film. You're going to have Whedon's version, and you're going to have Snyder's version. And I think it's going to be kind of, you know, you think about Ridley Scott and the versions of like Blade Runner he has, and the versions of Aliens, and just all the things that he's done over the years. I think that's going to be what we're going to see here. You're going to see kind of an ultimate version that's going to come out. That's going to be the full Snyder's envision. So they'll probably they may even have that done, or it may be on like a Blu-ray bonus type thing. So they did that for Batman versus Superman. Remember that?
I was about to bring that up because they put like an extra 30 minutes back into the movie that they chopped out
made
from
it
the
better.
theaters, and they greatly improved it.
Yep. I do. So
it's interesting because fans have had so much backlash against Zack Snyder, but now that they're not happy with this movie, they want Zack. Make up your mind.
I know, really.
I think they just want to see what they're missing,
you bash
so
him
that they
on
can make their own full opinion.
Exactly. It's people are really flip floppy with these films, and I don't know why. But anyway, we'll get into that banter here in just a very brief moment as Austin finishes up this week.
All right, so The Black Lightning is on the way, and it finally has a premiere date. This past Thursday, the CW announced many of its premiere dates in 2018, including new DC series Black Lightning, which will debut on Tuesday, January 16th at 9 p.m. The Flash will return the same night with its mid-season premiere airing at 8 p.m. Legends of Tomorrow is currently following The Flash on Tuesday, and Black Lightning seems to be taking that place. Not to worry, the CW is moving Legends to a new night, and that has yet to be determined. For those wondering about the new Legends slot, the logical answer seems to be following the Monday nights at 9 p.m., following Supergirl, of course. The fall finale of the Team Up series will air on December 5th. Supergirl returns the day before Flash on January 15th, and the Arrow returns on January 18th. So are you guys excited for Black Lightning?
It's another one to add to the lineup.
It is another one. But from what I understand, Black Lightning takes place in a different time and a different era than the current Arrowverse.
So they're not going to cross over with that show.
We don't know yet. We honestly...
They say they won't, but...
They say
well,
they won't.
The Legends might cross over.
Well, the Legends can easily cross over with him.
There's a great possibility for a crossover, I think. So
well, and even the Flash, because he goes forwards and backwards, he could totally tap into that too. But I think, well, Supergirl's flown with.
She went back in time with
Barry. It's possible. We can make it happen.
Trust me, with Arrowverse, anything can happen. Anybody can come back to life too.
True.
So never, we thought that about Black Canary, and there's like 5 Black Canaries
There's
now.
Like 20 of them now.
Yeah.
I'm canaried out, I think.
Yeah. It's time for turkey, not canary. So, but you see what I did there, right?
I did.
Oh my God, it's so funny. Anyway, moving on, guys. So we just finished up. Now, I do wanted to talk a little bit, something briefly. Now, you guys, Team PopX, you're not going to be able to see this, but so let's talk about Punisher. Has anybody watched Punisher yet? The first episode, at least.
And I hate it for it.
Okay. Okay. So I watched episode 1. I watched episode 1. That might be under Daredevil with the intro. Yes. It might be right there. I mean, the story is gritty and it's graphic. It is in your face. It's like Rambo meets. I love that. Oh my God, I can't even begin to tell you. It's just like. Yes, dive into this. But what I wanted to tell you, what I wanted to show you is something specific, and I actually recorded this earlier, and let me pull it up here right quick. And so when you go to GameSpot.com, and this is something really cool in the marketing world. When you go to GameSpot, so what you're seeing right now is me on the website at GameSpot. All right, so if you go and you inspect the HTML, which you're going to see here. Okay, so this is normal code. Everything looks decent. Then you start scrolling. Then you keep scrolling, and you can see that the website's been hacked, and it's the Punisher skull. Under that, it says Marvel, Punisher. And then there's a YouTube link hidden in the code on GameSpot.com. You copy the YouTube link, and it goes to a very specific scene that kind of is one of the turning points for the Punisher series.
Oh my God!
Wow,
it is freaking phenomenal. So there is it. I found this out the other day, but if you go to GameSpot and you click on You click on the actual inspect HTML.
I'm looking at this over on YouTube.
Are you looking at it? Isn't it crazy?
I'm following you. Yeah.
It's pretty cool, right?
That's marketing at its finest. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. Austin, can you see it?
No, but that's
Okay.
I'm going to go look.
Okay.
They did something really cool with the when they were doing the Defender stuff. They had a really neat website, and each character had their own website with their own stuff on it. It was
pretty cool.
That's really cool.
So I just wanted to share that little tidbit. And so far, I've only seen episode 1. But what I saw so far, if the other episodes can hold up to this one, oh my God, we are in for one more of a ride. This is going to be great.
My roommate has gotten through episode 3, and he says it's his favorite, not Marvel Netflix series. He said he thinks it's his favorite Netflix series he's ever watched.
Ooh.
Ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's impressive, man. That is so impressive. So I'm so excited.
And see, you could do storytelling, and you don't need all that flashy CGI. You just need some basic effects.
Straight up
Yes.
grit.
That's it.
You know?
That's it. And John Bernthal, when he brings it, he brings it. And he is doing an amazing job as the Punisher. Wow. So,
awesome.
All right. So, guys, we're going to transition over now to Justice League, as you guessed. And so, what we're going to do before we dive into this movie. Exactly. So, you know what? You've been warned. Beyond this point, we'll be right back.
Danger. You are about to enter a PopX spoiler alert. Beyond this point, there is no return. You have been warned.
All right, you have been warned. Now, something I wanted to talk about right quick, while we're all here, is when did the Justice League start? What's its origins? And you know, we do a series here on PopX called Origin Stories. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Austin actually give us just a brief rundown of just, you know, what did it used to be called? When was it formed? What was the first issue? And who were the big players in the Justice Society of America? So, Austin, why don't you?
All right, well, let's talk about the origins of the Justice Society of America. It was founded in 1940 after several superheroes saved the life of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The Justice Society of America was founded in 1940. Okay. 8 of the world's greatest heroes all banded together to stop Adolf Hitler's invasion of Britain and protect President Roosevelt from a group of Valkyries. Wow, that's a
interesting name.
Familiar sounding name. Summoned by Hitler. Those heroes were Green Lantern or Alan Scott. Now, these characters, guys, these are very different heroes than what we know now. So the names are all going to be different. Okay, the Flash, Jay Garrick, you recognize that name. The Spectre, Jim Corrigan. Dr. Fate, Kent Nelson. Our Man, Rex Tyler. The Sandman, Wesley Dodds. The Atom, Al Pratt. And Hawkman. When U.S. involvement in World War II seemed inevitable, President Roosevelt suggested that these costumed heroes band together as a team to defend U.S. shores. The costume heroes agreed to be this team to fight the Axis powers. Superman and Batman were also honorary members of the JSA. It's funny. They're honorary members. They're not.
Yeah.
That's so interesting to me.
Instead of founding members, yeah.
Yeah, they were honorary members. That's weird. The Justice Society of America made their first appearance in All-Star Comics #3 in 1940. They were created by Sheldon Mayer and comic book legend Gardner Fox. Mayer and Fox worked with other writers and artists for this debut, and I'll have you guys know, the Justice Society of America, if you go back and you read these, Justice League's interesting, and I still prefer the Justice League, but this is a completely different team dynamic. And these are completely different heroes. And it's so interesting to see how the writing was so different back then. And I wouldn't be opposed to a Justice Society live action TV show, or even they do a movie, an animated movie focused on the Justice Society. I think something like that would be really cool. So yeah, I mean, this is a very fun team. What are your all's thoughts on the Justice Society of America compared to the Justice League?
Well, you got to go back to your origins, and yeah, you're right on many aspects. The writing, the artwork, everything about, even the principles in which people lived back then in World War II. Everybody lived for a different cause and a different purpose, and in that is you're going to get writing that's going to empower the people with hope. And I think that's one of the reasons why Schuster and Siegel created Superman. Because they needed that symbol of hope. Now, there's a couple of things I wanted to discuss before we go into Easter eggs. And so it's really interesting. So now we have the Justice League of America, then we have Justice League Infinity. There's so many versions of the Justice League now that has been either in animation or on television. There's even a JLA cartoon show. But when you go back to its origins, it actually used to be called Justice Society. And that's where DC's Legends of Tomorrow gets it right, because all the members of Justice of Society, you know, you had Our Man, and then you had Jay Garrick, and just all these OGs from that era were represented, and I think well represented. Now, you fast forward, so how did JLA impact the world, especially other comic publications? Well, I'm going to give you a quick lesson, then we'll move on. So, at the time, a young writer named Stan Lee was working at New York in Timely Comics, and his editor, Martin Goodman, approached him and said, hey, can you help me out and write? This DC Comics has got this massive team, and they're called the Justice League. Can you create a team with characters that are original? And, you know, Stan Lee was trying to create this team, and his wife, Stan Lee's wife, Joni Lee, actually said, why don't you create something that you're passionate about? Because you know what? You're on your way out. You don't really, you're no longer going to be a part of Timely Comics, and if it fails, you're going to be out of the job anyway, so just give it your best. And he created the Fantastic Four. And so the Fantastic Four was the first family of Marvel Comics inspired by the Justice Society and the Justice League over at DC Comics. And so out of that, we get the Avengers. So there you go. There's your quick lesson. And that all just literally came from here in just, anyway.
That's amazing.
Anyway, so we're going to open up, and we're going to actually go around table here and let everybody kind of discuss a little bit of what they liked, what they didn't like, and some things that just stood out. Now, the man behind the image over here, as you may see, Mr. Mike Ippolito, all the way up in Atlanta, Georgia, and parts and regions and nethers unknown, is going to be joining us here on camera. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
What's going on?
Hey. So Mike, you're going to do us the honors here. You're going to open us up. What did you think about Justice League?
Yeah, since I'm the first one starting, I just wanted to start out by saying I went into this movie and I wanted to really like this movie. And by the time I was done, I did.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this movie. I know there was a lot of downfalls, you know, in this movie, but if you could just look past some of them, this was a really good movie. The character dynamics were completely amazing. You know, the interaction between the characters, either, you know, separately as well. And just to see, I know we've seen already about, you know, the backstory of Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, but to get a little bit of, you know, the Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg, that was just enough in there to just give you enough of a backstory of what had happened. Certain things they could have done without, like with, you know, with Barry Allen, you know, talking to his father in jail, you know, we kind of know about that. They could have kind of done away, you know, with that a little bit. But as far as, you know, the length of the movie, I think it was well too short. This movie should have been at least 2.5 hours. And the amount of footage that I've heard that they cut out is just, they could have done away with certain things like the jail scene, and to get those, you know, the more important parts of the film, you know, out there that we needed to see. But, and the one thing, you know, if I guess the fans of the TV show, with the separation of the Flash, of Grant Gustin and Ezra Miller, you know, I walked into it and I'm going, you know, just to try and, you know, I understand what they were doing by having it completely a separate, you know, from the TV show. And I was actually able to accept it and, you know, realize that Ezra Miller was the Flash in this movie, and didn't think twice about it. And I thought he was great in it. I thought he had, you know, a lot of comedy to him as well. I mean, one of the pivotal scenes is when Superman is attacking, Superman finally comes back and he's attacking the rest of the team, and he comes, you know, running around behind him, and Superman turns his head and sees him running. Just the expression on Ezra Miller's face was just amazing. That he actually saw, you know, Superman actually saw him.
Yeah, he did the kind of corner of the eye thing. He's like,
yeah, he was like,
"Hey, Barry, I see."
Yeah.
So cool.
And that was just one of the pivotal parts for me. As far as the dynamics of the character, and just a little touch on Green Lantern Corps. I think that was something we needed to see. And as far as the extra bonuses at the end, that was just great. I mean, that's the scene people have been wanting is the Flash against Superman in the race. I know it's been throughout the comics, and this movie overall, I think, except for the downside of things, as far as the editing and the whole mustache situation, and kind of the animation of Steppenwolf wasn't the greatest either. I mean, they've seen better animation like Lord of the Rings, and just to see just the mouth move but no other movement in the face was just kind of rough to see. To me, I just felt like this movie was rushed to get it out there.
Now I have a picture of Mustachio Travolta. I wonder if I should put it up on the thing. Should I?
You should.
Okay. All right, here we go. Here's Mustachio Travolta.
If you guys haven't seen this yet, it's hilarious.
Now, this is taken from the internet. Now, I wasn't in an actual theater capturing this footage because that's not really good for anybody. But
that's illegal.
But this was on Google, and I found it on Google, and so it was public, and so. But you can kind of see there's a little bit of a weird, like John Travolta faced forward type looking thing going on here, and it's a little bizarre.
It's a little weird.
So somewhere in there is like they've pasted over the bottom of his nose and the top of his lip between that area, and have taken out the mustache, and it's made him have this weird like Willem Dafoe look. You know what I'm saying? It's just like he's got that weird facial structure, and it's not weird. I mean, no disrespect to Willem or Henry Cavill, but I'm just saying this is weird by the actual industry standards. But
anyway. It's very noticeable, even right at the beginning of the movie. When he was interviewed, you can actually see a little bit of it.
Yeah, it was weird.
It's just, I mean, overall, I thought it was good. Except for the the editing and some of the animation, and I think what they try to set out to do is to try and get everybody into these characters, and I think they successfully did that.
I couldn't agree more.
Have to look for it, look past some of its downfalls, but I overall liked it. I'll definitely go see it again, and when it comes out on Blu-ray, I'll definitely buy it. And it was a very enjoyable movie.
I enjoyed it.
One other downfall is I think they could have brought back Superman a little sooner than they did, because it was it was just like they were, showing like the cyborg a little bit of backstory, then Barry Allen, then let's bring Superman back from the dead. There's Steppenwolf, move on, and now end of the movie.
All right, so you brought up a good point. Let's talk about that. How they brought back Superman using the actual Kryptonian chamber. Now in the comics, the sun is what regenerated his body, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, why don't they just take his body out and just lay him on the grass somewhere and just let him regenerate?
What was the point of the dirt moving at the end of Batman v Superman?
Exactly.
Yeah. What was that? They completely missed that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. And so according to this movie, spoiler alert, in Justice League, Batman is Superman is dead. He doesn't look dead. After that guy's been dead for a year. I mean, he's kept
Was
his
it a
color.
full year?
Yeah, it was a year, wasn't it? After, so
I wasn't sure the gap in time between the two movies.
So
I was kind of
you would kind of think he's look a little more Walking Deadish,
a little greener,
a little more greener, maybe a little
almost like when he got hit with that nuclear bomb in Batman vs Superman.
Bizarro something.
Yeah.
All right, well, cool, Mike. Thanks for sharing, buddy.
Sure.
All right, so we're going to move on to Miss Lindsay Badger now and let her share her thoughts about the Justice League film.
Okay. Overall, I enjoyed it. It was not the best I'm not doing backflips over this movie, but it was thoroughly enjoyable. It kept you on your toes onto what was happening next, if you didn't know the story already, obviously. And it really, there's enough action with each individual character. They all get their turn getting to fight bad guys and whatnot. So there's not like any one standout superhero. They really did try to make it a full team effort. I'll put it out here right now. I am not a Batfleck fan. I have tried super hard ever since he's come out as being Ben Affleck as being Batman, and I just can't get behind him. So sorry. It kind of taints my opinion on that character in general. But he did a decent job. He just is kind of lifeless in personality to me. Wonder Woman was amazing. I feel that I've heard a lot of rumors about, oh, well, it's different because there's a man directing it versus a woman directing her, and I really didn't get much of that feel. I still think she still had her awesome sauce full force through the whole movie. She was kind of the mother figure of all of these boys that were playing around. Aquaman, he's just so gorgeous. He's just so gorgeous. I can't hate him at all. I can tell that they're setting him up for his own movie. So they are they're giving you a taste, but not fully divulging all of his history in this movie because they don't want to give you too much so that you'll come back and enjoy his own movie. But there was just enough there, and he had enough inclusion into his part of the team to really make that shine for him. And then the Flash, I was kind of with Mike on this hesitation and trying to keep a clear opinion on how this new actor was going to play the role, and he did a fantastic job. He played it as a youthful, almost adolescent, young adult style character that doesn't have his life together. He desperately misses having a parent around to guide him, and hence the reason why he goes and sees his dad all the time. And I know that we've beaten that storyline to death about, where his parents are and whatever, but keep in mind too, we are still setting up for, again, another solo movie. So we have to give a little taste of what his backstory is to lead into that part of carrying on into that universe. So I think he did a great job. He was fun. He was our little comic relief. There was a lot of dark and heavy in this movie, and he was the jokester. Now, one thing that did kill me with his jokes is that a lot of the trailers and teasers included some of his best ones, where they were standing on top of the building and they see the bat signal, and he's like, "Oh, that means you," and we gotta, and he's like, "Yeah." And then the other one that was really funny, but I think it would have been more enjoyable if they would have left it out of the teasers, was the one where they all disappear and he's like, "Oh, they all left," and that's rude. And we've seen that over and over again. You knew it was coming, and I was like, man, that would have been so much better if they would have just kept that little nugget of fun hidden and a surprise. So that was, I still enjoyed it. I liked his character as well. Cyborg, they don't have a solo for him, right?
Yet.
So I feel that's the reason why they dove a little deeper into him in this movie, is to give you the full taste of what he's all about.
Well, if you think about it too, he's actually a controller of the mother box. He holds the mother box.
He is. He does play a very, very intricate role in the storyline of how to solve the problem. So it makes sense to give more of his storyline and background. So I think diving into him was critical for a good storytelling. Music was amazing. I don't know how Danny Elfman mushes all of those themes together and make it sound amazing. He is a freaking magician. I love him. Amazing. I agree with you on the graphics. I wasn't super over the top with it, but I mean, it didn't kill it for me. the movie's just overall really good. I feel like there was so many storylines, it may have felt a little choppy because you're in the Amazonian once and you're underwater and then you're in Gotham and then you're in Metropolis and you're all over the place. So it's kind of hard to keep up if you're not paying attention. So people may have kind of gotten taken away from that as well, but it didn't. I followed it, so it was fine with me.
Yeah. Well, most of the people that are like us are a little bit nerdy, so we can.
Yeah, but if you're not as nerdy, I can see where it feels like there's 6 different movies being mushed into 2 hours.
And, one thing I like about this film, and then we'll let Austin go.
Yeah.
And you kind of hinted on it a little bit, Lindsay, is that you don't really need a lot of backstory to go in and watch this movie. You're like, oh my God, I don't even know who Barry Allen is. I don't know who Cyborg is. You don't really need to know that much. It sets it up really well for you. I mean, if you've not even seen Wonder Woman, I mean, it's kind of, you see Themyscira, you see the island, and you see the Amazonians, and even that would have been a pretty decent.
They tie the fact that she is an Amazonian without diving into her lineage, and the fact that she lost somebody that she loved, even though Batman was being a douche about that. Oh my God! I mean, it made me hate him even more. But I think that was his goal. His role was to be the a-hole of the movie, so he played that well. Good job, Batfleck.
All right. With that said, Mr. Burke, Austin Burke, what are your thoughts on Justice League?
Well, Joe.
Yes, sir.
In a world, in a year full of fantastic comic book movies, here comes.
I already see where this is going. Oh my!
Maybe the worst one.
No.
But you know what? But you know what? I still have. What's the listen? This year has had Logan, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Justice League is probably the worst one out of all of those movies.
For the year, I can agree.
Now, that being said, it's still not a bad movie. Okay? I feel like this is getting unfairly bashed by critics. And if you look at like the Rotten Tomato score, it's actually not that bad, 40%. So that means 4 out of 10 people liked it. 6 out of 10 didn't. That's roughly kind of down the middle. And if you look at the average score, it's a 5.5. So it's actually closer to positive than negative because a 6 is a positive. And it's getting better reception than Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad because Suicide Squad was a big turd. So this movie, I think it did a wonderful job of showing us the characters that this movie needs to show us. So from here on, if they continue, because the box office was horrible, so from here on, they can split these off into different movies and we can start getting Wonder Woman level films. I think that's what this movie was for. Now, it went through a lot of things behind the scenes. You heard what happened to Zack Snyder's daughter. That was horrible. That happened like 7 months ago. So to bring in a new director to reshoot roughly 60 to 70% of the movie and to fit this whole thing in under 2 hours, because that stupid Warner Brothers mandate that said this movie has to be under 2 hours. Did you guys hear about that? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Silly. And it took so much away from this movie. But them getting a solid movie out of all of those things, all of those mandates, is very impressive to me. It's not the best flowing movie I've watched all year. It's something that's like, okay, these are great, really cool YouTube clips. You know, if I look up this clip, it's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be awesome, the 6-minute thing. And there's some very unorganized parts, like parts that just go from one scene to another scene and they jump and they jump. But when we're talking about characters, guys, I loved watching these guys interact. And arguably, I think some of their interactions were handled better than the Avengers, because I feel like this team connected a lot faster than the Avengers did in the Avengers movie. And I feel like the dynamics between Bruce and Wonder Woman, that was awesome. The way that they interacted and how they came together at the end was incredible. Flash and Cyborg, their interactions were hilarious. I think every individual character brought something different to the table. The underrated one to me, and I know he was very subtle and he was very under the radar, but I thought Ray Fisher's Cyborg was great. Now, I didn't love the look of his character, but the CGI ended up not being that bad. I thought he played it. He was so subtle, just the way that the way that he talked like this. That's perfect. I think that's how I want Cyborg, and he started to come around towards the end of the movie. I thought he was really good, and you can kind of tell he's a theatrical actor because he just brought that gravitas that I don't think anybody expected him to bring. And like you already said, Ezra Miller as the Flash was awesome. It took me a second to get used to him. It's like, oh my gosh, that is not CW Flash. But once he started coming on screen, he's so different, but he works, right? He brought the comedy. There was one or two jokes that maybe fell flat, but overall, he was some of my favorite scenes in the movie. Like you said earlier, Mike, the scene when he's running around Superman. And the second time watching, I've watched this movie twice. The second time watching it got me more laughing at that scene more than it did the first time. And frankly, I think this movie's very rewatchable because I watched it and I liked it more the second time as a movie. And that is, you can't say that. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and although I think it's a slightly better movie, I enjoyed it more the first time. I enjoyed this movie more the second time because I think this is one of those movies that's very easily. Now, if you're not a DC fan, I get it. Okay, I understand. But this is a movie that if you're a hardcore comic book fan and if you love DC movies or DC characters, I think you can overlook the flaws because I think there's way more good here than bad. And although there is bad, like the first scene in the movie with the phone and the obvious voiceovers from the kids who probably weren't kids. And how does that kid hold that phone? Okay, if I'm a 12-year-old boy and I'm recording Superman, I don't have a giant stabilizer, okay? I'm gonna be like, hey, Superman, hey, man, how you doing? That was the most unrealistic, dumb, stupid, CGI'd mustache Superman face with the worst dialogue I have ever seen in my life. Why was that in the film? And you could tell because every scene in the movie where Superman had a CGI mustache was a reshoot. It was a reshoot. And guess what? Every scene in the movie with Superman, he had a CGI mustache. So Zack Snyder's cut was very different because we never got to look at what Zack Snyder's Superman would have been. And I'm very interested in look at Joe. I'm very interested in what his take on Superman would have been. And as you guys know, Henry Cavill teased the black suit last year. And where was that in the film? It was never in the film. And everybody's like, well, where would he have gotten the black suit from? Guess what? Michael Shannon's suit, General Zod's suit, it was a black Superman suit. It could have been pretty easy to get. So there were some very obvious
the tailors.
it was being sewed up. It was being worked on. If that's the case, great. There were some things that I think were really, and you look at the trailers that came out, I'd say about 2 minutes of the 4 or 5 minutes of trailer footage that we have is not in the actual film. There's a lot of scenes that are missing from those trailers after the reshoots were done that are not in the movie. I'm very curious to see, and the rumor was the studio was happy with the movie, so why come in and change it? But the changes, I think some of the great dialogue that we got in the changes made the movie really good for me, and I think the score ended up being better than maybe what it could have been. We'll never know, but I do think Joss Whedon brought some elements that made this movie a very good dialogue piece between characters and a very good show of how this team interacts. So overall, I can say I had a lot of fun with the movie. Definitely its problems, but like I said earlier, when you look at how much freaking fun, and I know we said it. I said it for Thor. I said Thor was fun. I said Spider-Man was fun. And people hate when you use that word. When you use that word in a movie review, people are typing on their computers like, fun. Who likes to have fun in a movie? Fun is stupid. No, I go to the movie to have fun. I don't go to the movies to sit there and be bored out of my freaking mind.
Do you have 5-year-old trolls on your YouTube channel?
Oh man, this is I don't know. Austin Burks is opening up a can tonight.
I hope they're listening. Wow. I hope you people are listening to me. But I had a lot of fun with Justice League, and I think it's a solid movie. And I'm probably going to buy it on Blu-ray. And the haters can keep on hating.
You do you. Hey, I do have a question, Austin. Were you sitting in your second favorite chair when you watched it the second time?
I was in my second favorite chair. Did you guys notice Rick and Morty in the background of the Flash scene?
We're actually going to be talking about that in the Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Oh, I just saw the Asian music video and I was like, oh, Lord.
All right, so...
But I felt like it fit, though, so it was great.
Austin, that was a very lovely synopsis and recount of Yeah, very passionate. Hashtag
Sorry,
preach. You know. You know. All right,
No mercy.
all right, so I'll be really quick. I won't be as long as Austin. No, I'm just messing with you, Austin. But I think honestly, for me too, the opening part with this phone, and just the horrible CGI'd mustache, and just that kid talking to the, that really didn't need to be in there. They could have actually stolen some footage, like when Superman descends into the crowd in Batman versus Superman. They could have gotten some footage for that, of his interaction with people, if they wanted that. I don't think that was really necessary, and obviously that reshoot with the thing, hopefully in the definitive edition, that will be gone. But anyway, so Ezra Miller with the Flash, I was one of those ones. I'm a huge Grant Gustin fan, and seeing his portrayal on the Arrowverse on CW, you kind of become a little accustomed to that, and dare I say, oh my gosh, we see change, and we're like, oh wow, this can't be happening. But then you think about it for a minute. What if Justice League and DC Arrowverse on two different multiverses? Think about that.
That'd be cool.
So, technically it can happen. But I thought Ezra Miller's adaptation and his jokes, I thought he literally brought a lot of relief to some of the more sinister moments, especially like when Superman awakens from his slumber, and where he's been dead for a year, and he's a little confused and doesn't know what's going on, and he's trying to battle the future members of the JLA. And, like you said, he's going around and he's doing it in circles, and him and Superman are kind of eyeing each other while Ezra Miller's just going around in circles as fast as he can. And Flash is like, wait, you can see me? What? And that whole thing was just so beautifully done. And I think Ezra Miller and the Flash is definitely going to be adding the comic relief. And the dynamics between him and Cyborg were just awesome. And I do believe that Cyborg is probably the underrated superhero of this entire league, because his story, his persona, his whole character was just so deep involved. There's just so much stuff that he can touch a monitor and a screen and get into a network and
That's pretty cool.
Totally unlock or lock or do whatever he needs to do to the entire mainframe. It's insane. He's like, hello, Alfred, I'm going to take over for now. And Alfred's like, who are you?
He's like, what?
Yeah, like, who are you? It's so strange. In terms of Batfleck, you know what? I got to honestly say, this is where I disagree with Lindsay. I think Ben Affleck is probably one of the best Batman to have portrayed Batman since Michael Keaton. I think Michael Keaton did two versions of Batman, and I think they were astounding. And of course, Joel Schumacher came in and kind of ruined the entire franchise. But Christian Bale was obviously, for me, is one of my go-to Batman of all time. And then Michael Keaton, and then obviously I like Ben Affleck. I like the bulk of Ben Affleck. He's bulky, and he just looks like Bruce Wayne, And I kind of enjoy his humor, his banter, and his rawness, because there's a certain weight that Bruce Wayne carries on his shoulders at all times. He's always technically thinking about everything, overthinking everything. And also with Jason Momoa and the introduction of his Aquaman, I kind of felt that his Aquaman was truly awesome. Just how he's saving this fishing village up in the north, and they're all starving. They can't go out and fish, and here he is once a year. He comes out of the water and he brings them this bounty of a catch, and it gets them through the whole winter. I just think it's a beautiful story. It shows that he's got dignity, he's got morals, he's got a compass, and it's cool to see that side of him and see just a little bit of Atlantis. That was nice. And so a little history on the mother boxes. I really enjoyed how they introduced the mother boxes and how they were spread. Did anybody happen to notice that there's King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table burying the box?
So cool.
Well, if you remember the Arthurian legend, let's go back to Wonder Woman. King Arthur makes a cameo there. But also you need to know that Arthur and Bros, which is his company, is in a lot of DC story arcs. Arthurian legend goes even way back to DC Comics Batman sagas, where the Batman it's all spread throughout. You think of Steppenwolf, and you think of Ares in Wonder Woman. There's all little snippets about the Arthurian legend, how they have to secretly do stuff, and they did this because they had this power, or they had this staff, or whatever. And I think that was a nice little nod for that. But the mother boxes were spread. One went to Atlantis. The other one went to, what was it, the Earth. And the other one went to, what was the third one? Atlantis? Not Gotham. It was Themyscira. The Amazons. And so somehow Steppenwolf finds the location of all three of these, and then he unites them. But there's one thing that people didn't get. And if you've read the comics, you know this. You know this. It's coming up. What's Joe Burt talking about? He's going crazy. The sky was red. Did anybody notice that?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you know that here's an ongoing thing? We're going to talk about this. I'm totally blowing out one of our Easter eggs, but I got to talk about it because I brought it up. Oh, yeah. Anytime something has happened in DC Comics that's going to be earth-shattering, like Crisis, or you talk about Apocalypse coming down to Earth, the sky in all the comics has always been painted red as a post-apocalyptic event happening in DC. Now, what was Steppenwolf doing? He said that he dropped the name Darkseid is coming.
He did.
Yeah,
and he dropped it. And so what's happening is, what we don't understand is, everything might be peachy now because Steppenwolf's out of the game and they defeated him, but it's already a little bit too late. They've already summoned...
Okay, can we pause for a moment? Because I want to reflect back to the movie on the third box. Because I was literally yelling at the screen and I when they brought, Flash was running around. He had to touch the box right at the same time so Superman could shoot out of the thing. The box goes flying, lands on a car. There are 6 superheroes. Why the hell did one of them not go get the damn thing? Instead, they left it sitting there in the middle of a parking lot, gift wrapped for the bad guy to come get, while they were all worried about where'd Superman go.
That's true.
Somebody please explain that to me.
There is plot points. I'm telling you,
I was so mad at that. That was probably the worst. The worst part of that whole movie for me was
it's kind of like when you see the movie Halloween, and when the lady goes in there, that Michael Myers is right behind the door, but you're like, she's going to go in there anyway. What's going to happen? Oh, guess what? Steppenwolf got the third box. So there you go.
Speaking of Steppenwolf, don't you guys feel like there was a missed opportunity when he was, when all the parademons were attacking him and he got drugged back up, presumably to Apocalypse? Don't you feel like there was a missed opportunity for him to get there, and then you pan around, Darkseid's got his hands behind his back,
intro a new big bad,
and he turns around and he just says, "You have failed me yet again," or something like that. Would that have not? Oh man, I just feel like that was one.
Kind of like they did with Thanos.
You would need an extra 30 minutes to build up to that.
It's kind of like Thanos, at the end of Avengers: Age of Ultron, you see him, and you're like, oh, there he is.
Like, there's the big bad.
Coming.
I don't know.
All right, so all in all, I truly love the film, and I've enjoyed it. And as someone who really truly appreciates and values superhero comic films and things of that nature and shows and stuff, I did see the flaws. But you know what? The film is so good. I was easily to overlook the flaws and enjoy the film. And it wasn't something bad like Power Rangers or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Part 2 or something, where it's just, it's just like, oh my gosh, this is a horrible story and the CGI is all wonky and it's crazy. No, this was actually really, really good. And I would highly recommend you guys take your families and go see it. So that's Joe's final note. Now, we're right at 10 o'clock. Can you believe we've already been online an hour? So it's crazy.
Wow.
So that's what happens when we start geeking out.
We're a bunch of yappers, aren't we?
So guys, what we're going to do is all right, so in each of y'all's lists for you guys out there can't see this, you have no idea what we're talking about, so you don't even have to know what we're talking about. Just read one, and we'll get through this, okay? So
let's do it.
Here we go. And so this is Gods Crash the War Party. And this is the Easter egg for Justice League. In a spectacular sequence in the film, Wonder Woman reveals that the history of Steppenwolf's previous attempt to conquer Earth, which took place over 1,000 years ago, was thwarted by a union between mankind. Now, the Amazons, the Atlanteans, and even a Green Lantern. The Green Lantern was so obscure that it was so hard to even really tell which one it was. Did anybody see Beta Ray? Beta Ray.
Yes.
Beta Ray Bill got the crap knocked out of him. He was dead. Anyway, moving on. So the fight was so massive that even the gods got involved. Did you see that Zeus, the lightning, was coming out of him?
That was awesome.
And also there was a cameo from Ares from Wonder Woman. Anybody else notice the actor reprised his cameo role?
Yeah.
He was there.
I missed that.
So that was with David Thewlis reprising his role as Ares from Wonder Woman. And if you blink, you would probably have missed it. It was so quick, but it was just like reliving and coinciding with the story that Wonder Woman taught us. So it's really interesting. So Robin Wright has a similar blink and you'll miss it appearance during the big fight as the Amazon General Antiope.
What's that one?
Wow. All right. So Austin, which one are you going to pick for yours?
All right, so for mine, I'm picking the Starmen in one of the oddest gags in the film. There is a quick bit where we see the front page of the Metropolis Post, presumably a less reputable newspaper than the Daily Planet. The front page is about the death of Superman. However, it bizarrely ties in with Superman's death with two other notable celebrities who passed away in 2016, David Bowie and Prince. Since Bowie and Prince were both rather eccentric performers, the coincide of the gag is that to the people of the DC Cinematic Universe, their deaths would have been seen as the same fashion of Superman's death. It seems to be a bit of a stretch and the borders on being respectful or disrespectful to the deaths of Prince and Bowie. But hey, it's the gag that they went with. And the reason that I chose this one is because the second time I watched the movie and that music was playing and it was panning around to all of this stuff, when I saw that newspaper, I kind of got choked up a little bit. For some reason, it really impacted me. And I was like, man, I felt that. So to me, it was just a great gag, but it was a great scene in the movie.
Nice.
Right. Cool. Well, since Joe already covered The Sky is Red, I guess I'll skip on to the next one. A hint for Black Mask, maybe. In the opening of the movie, Batman stalks a burglar in Gotham City. As it turns out, Batman was simply torturing the criminal so that he becomes terrified of Batman. Batman does this because he knows that the parademons are drawn to fear, so he's using the burglar as bait. During that scene, we see some Gotham City signs. One of them is for Janus Cosmetics. Janus Cosmetics is the company owned by the parents of the villain who will eventually become Black Mask. Yes, there is a Batman villain whose origin is directly connected to a company named after Janus, the Roman god who literally has two faces and yet is not actually Two-Face. Since Black Mask is rumored to be the villain in the upcoming Gotham City Sirens film, that is likely no coincidence that name got dropped. Very nice.
They're teasing other productions in the DC year. Yes,
I love it when they sneak stuff in.
Yes. So moving on here, I am going to actually choose The Spectre of Things to Come. So despite not having a whole lot of screen time, J.K. Simmons does an excellent job as Commissioner Gordon. I thought he was awesome. Right. In one of those few scenes, he's questioned by one of his men over the fact that people keep seeing scientists kidnapped by parademons. But since no one has a photo of them, the descriptions of the parademons sure sound like Batman. Did you ever notice that? So does Gordon believe that maybe Batman has snapped? Well, the answer is probably no, of course, but Gotham City detective asking Gordon about the possibility of none other than Crispus Allen. Now, who is this? Who was introduced during Greg Rucka and Sean Martinborough's Detective Comics run. We're going way back to the 1939, ladies and gentlemen, into this. Allen later became the new Spectre during Infinite Crisis. There's that word again, crisis. It is unlikely that anything is more than a cameo, but who knows? And we are talking about the Spectre. Oh my. Cool stuff. Cool stuff, right?
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, so for the one that I'm going to pick, we've already kind of mentioned Rick and Morty, so I'm just kind of going to skip that, but that was a really cool scene. Wait, was that Jimmy Olsen, a.k.a. Mark McClure? So in a nice tribute to the films of the past, Mark McClure, who played Jimmy Olsen in the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, he also played Marty McFly's older brother in Back to the Future, appeared in this movie as the guard at the prison that Barry Allen has to check in with before entering to see Henry Allen. McClure gets a funny line where he jokes with the guest who follows Barry after the guest accosted Barry then drew glasses and a mustache with a marker at super speed. That was really funny.
That was funny.
After Batman v Super, it was such a great scene, and it kind of gave you an intro into his character.
Yeah.
But after Batman v Superman, this seemingly killed off Jimmy Olsen as an Easter egg. This was a nicer Jimmy Olsen related Easter egg by Zack Snyder. It follows in the footsteps of the Reeve Superman films, paying tribute to the actors from the Superman serials and the Superman TV series. So a nice ode to a great character.
Absolutely.
Nice. All right. And the next one that we have coming up is sign language for gorillas. Also within the film, Barry nervously pointed out other characteristics about himself, including the fact that he speaks sign language. He then followed that up by quickly noting that he meant specifically gorilla sign language. This, of course, is almost certainly a reference to one of the Flash's greatest foes, and the Flash has one of the best rogue galleries in the comic book history. He surely does. Gorilla Grodd is a telepathic and telekinetic gorilla from the mysterious place known as Gorilla City, which is filled with super intelligent gorillas, which are aliens that visited years ago and evolved them. They evolved the gorillas to a super race. And since then, we saw that the film established what obviously aliens have shown up on Earth in the past, and that it would be very easy to establish Gorilla City in DC Cinematic Universe as well.
Yes, it would, and we see Mr. Gorilla Grodd quite a bit over on Flash. He's made several cameos.
Do you think they would bring in the gorilla stuff because there's so much Kong
probably
stuff going on?
No, probably not right now. I mean, the story. I mean, maybe if they do a trilogy with Flash, maybe at some point Grodd could be a part of that in some way.
Yeah, but, I don't think a main focus for Grodd though.
No, I think probably they're going to be exploring Reverse Flash on Crisis with Ezra Miller. I think because if it's going to be changing things up, why would Flash have to go back in time if it's not probably to save his mother's death?
That's true.
And who would do that? Reverse Flash.
Right.
So you just got to kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together. So that's a really fun one. And so the last one that we have here is a really interesting one. This is called Truth and Justice. Period. Now there is a pointed moment during the final battle with Steppenwolf where Superman notes that he is a proponent of truth and justice. Remember when he hits that final blow? And this naturally is in reference to Superman's famous catchphrase, which notes that he stands for truth, justice, and the American way. Now, however, the film omits the American way part, and that will likely rankle some people, if you will. But the film's version, though, is actually what Superman's original catchphrase was on Superman radio series. We're talking about the OG 40s and 50s radio series, where he fights a quote-unquote a never-ending battle for truth and justice, end quote. Now, that was what Fleischer cartoons, that's what they said in the cartoons as well. And it wasn't until 1942 when America was at war and that quote-unquote American way part was added to kind of rally the troops, rally America.
Everything was about the
Brits.
American way.
Exactly. And then after the war, though, it was dropped. Now, it was in the rampant anti-communism era of the 50s. It was kind of there as well, where people had to prove that they were, quote-unquote, for America. And that the American way part was added for good. And so if truth, justice, and the American way has always been Superman's slogan. That was kind of nice that they had that old drop from that. So
like it.
All right, guys. So that is going to be the finish it up for Justice League. Man, that was a crazy show. We had a
it was.
An hour just flies by so quick when we do these. It's so awesome. I love it.
It's not enough time.
I know, really, but you know what? It's just enough time where it makes people want to watch the next episode.
Yeah, baby.
So, so let's wrap it up here, guys. So, hey, guys, if you are out at the theaters or in geek culture in general, or you go see Justice League this weekend, use the hashtag #YoPopX. If you see something awesome at a comic book shop or in the theaters or just around geek culture in general, let us know. Use our hashtag #YoPopX on Instagram and Twitter.
Also, we are part of an amazing network called the Gonna Geek Network. For all things even more geeky, head over to GonnaGeek.com and check out some amazing podcasts for our home network.
That's right. Make sure you also follow us out on the social media world. You can find us at Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, and Pinterest. Everywhere we are at PopXcast. And also you can send comments and suggestions to us via email at popxcast@gmail.com. And for future and past shows, make sure you visit our official website, www.popxcast.com.
All right, and I am Austin Burke at The Burkinator. You can search and find me on farmersonly.com.
Oh my god. Yeah, oh my god. You've been dipping in Granny's pumpkin pie again, haven't you? There's something wrong with you.
That ain't right.
That's something wrong with you. All right, Lindsay, where can you be found, Lindsay Badger?
You can find me pretty much anywhere on the interwebs at LR Badger.
All right, and I am Joseph Burke, a.k.a. at Joseph Burke Arts on the web. Of course, hats off to my amazing team, PopX, as always. Mike up in Atlanta doing his awesome slide love. Lindsay Badger, just the favorite geekyoki, and Mr. Austin Burke, as I shall say, we share the same DNA, unfortunately, but it's awesome. So, guys, this is awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in this week, and you know what? Happy Thanksgiving from Team PopX to you. Don't eat too much turkey and kind of lay off the sugar just a little. Well,
wear your stretchy pants.
Hashtag
diabetes. I got them on, girl.
Stretchy pants.
Hashtag stretchy pants.
Oh, man.
Hashtag stretchy pants.
Well, listen, guys, before we go, we have a really cool announcement. You know what our next episode's going to be on?
What?
Stranger Things 2. Oh my god.
I've got my outfit already picked out.
Have you guys fed Dart? I need to feed Dart. Where's Dart? Oh crap.
Oh gosh.
Dart?
Yes.
Anyway.
Don't feed him too. Hey.
No.
He's evil.
He likes nougat. He loves nougat.
Everybody loves nougat. So good.
You guys
so
will be happy to know I just finished the episode last night. We finished all the whole season, so I'm ready to go.
We can talk about it.
We can talk about it now.
Yes.
So,
yes.
December the 3rd, ladies and gentlemen. This will be our official post-Thanksgiving show. December the 3rd, 9 p.m. right here on PopX.live. We will be talking in depth, breaking it down, episode by episode, Stranger Things 2. Oh my gosh! So
get your strange on.
Get it and get caught up. Let me tell you. Okay. So from all of us here, happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading. We'll see you next time here on PopXcast.
Bye.
Bye.
From everyone at PopXcast, thanks for listening. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and subscribe for more great content. Drop us an email, popxcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and YouTube, all at PopXcast. Get your geek on.